Hey, what's up? My name is Petrowski, and today I'm going to be showing you what is, in my opinion, the best way to hunt Dittos in PokeMMO. Let's start off with where we're going to be hunting Dittos. So we're going to be hunting Dittos in Fallarbor Town in the northwest spot of the Hoenn region, so make sure you have the Hoenn region done so you can use high-level Pokemon here, have all your badges done, give you access to level 100 max obedience, and we're going to be working with some high-level Pokemon for this guide. So there's going to be 3 Pokemon that I recommend you guys use and kind of need for this grind. So the 2 easy ones are any Pokemon with Dig and any Pokemon with Teleport. That'll just help you get back to the PC and out of that zone and heal faster. But the main Pokemon you're going to be needing for this grind is going to be a Breloom. Specifically, a decently IV'd Breloom is nice. 252 attack, 252 speed, EV trained if possible, but the most important thing is Substitute, False Swipe, Spore. These 3 moves are going to be crucial. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be substituting up every Ditto encounter, and what that's going to do is it's going to prevent Ditto from being able to transform into us. It's going to make his transform fail every time, which is going to make him a lot easier to catch because he's not going to copy our stats the way he does in PokeMMO. So after you substitute, you're pretty much set for that encounter. You're going to go ahead and false swipe him, get him down to 1 HP, and then spore him and throw Pokeballs until he catches. There's always a ton of discussion and a ton of debate on which Pokeball is best to use while catching Dittos. In my personal opinion, I usually just use Pokeballs, but the 2 most debated balls from what I've seen are whether to use Pokeballs or Repeat Balls. Repeat Balls being a very expensive but very high catch rate Pokeball. Pokeball being the lowest catch rate Pokeball but the cheapest by far. And it comes down to a matter of whether the time saved from Repeat Ball is worth the money it costs. And I honestly don't know the answer to that. Maybe one day I will make a video explaining that and testing them all in depthly, but for today we're just going to want to focus on hunting Dittos specifically. So, Dittos tend to go for around 3k to 4k on the GTL, but do not sell them there if possible. The biggest thing that I want people to take away from this video is not to sell Dittos on the GTL. There is a different form of trading and selling Dittos that I want to talk about. Okay, so what you're going to want to be doing to sell your Dittos optimally is either going to trade chat or finding someone within your team or a friend that you know and offer to sell Ditto boxes. Basically what Ditto boxes are a box full of Dittos. I can actually show you in my PC. So it's going to look like this. A box full of 60 shittos, as some people call them, which are shit Dittos. They don't really have any stats going for them. They're just shit Dittos which people will use to egg breed shinies. And that's sort of the reason why Dittos hold that 3k value point, is because people constantly use them to mass breed for certain very rare shinies which are best to hunt through eggs. But anyways, what you're going to want to do is go to trade chat and advertise something like selling Ditto box 180k. And what's going to happen is you're going to put that up, someone's going to whisper you and be like, okay, I'll buy your box. And then there's 2 things you can either do. You can ask that person to pay the 180k up front, and what that means is they're paying 3k for each Ditto. The average price that you sell a Ditto box for is 180k. Or they can just pay 15k per trade. So what's going to happen is you're going to continuously trade that person over and over, 5 Dittos each trade, either them paying the 180k up front or them putting in 15k per trade. 180k up front makes it a lot faster, but then there's the risk of you scamming them, and you have to understand that kind of concern. Scamming is against the rules though, so if you do scam someone in this method, they can report you and you can get banned by PokeMMO staff. But the reason why doing this and the reason why selling Ditto boxes is so much better than selling on the GTL is because every time you list a Ditto on the GTL, you're going to be paying 1k in a listing fee. So you're actually going to be making 2k for that Ditto, as opposed to selling a Ditto box, you are making that pure 3k per. You're losing so much money to list your Dittos on the GTL as opposed to selling them as boxes. However, if Dittos are going for around 4k like average on the GTL, which I believe they are right now, which is not common, you honestly can try to just list them for 4k and see if they sell, but some of these have been listed for a long time and aren't selling. Because why would a buyer want to pay 4k for a Ditto when they could just pay 3k for a Ditto? So selling and buying Ditto boxes is just usually by far the best way to interact with that Pokemon. Anyways, I hope that was helpful for some. That was honestly maybe my main point that I wanted to get across with this video that I think is super under talked about, super appreciated, underspoken. Let's go ahead and show you guys where and how to hunt Dittos though. So we're going to go ahead and start here in Falabar Town. Like I said before, so I don't want to spend too much time on it. Run west over to this house. Go in, go through this broken, dilapidated entry. Walk up here through this cave. There's no encounters in this cave, so you don't have to worry about that. Walk in here, and then here you go. Here's everyone hunting Dittos. And Dittos are surprisingly common in this area. I believe it's around a 40% encounter rate, if I remember correctly. So that is much more common. If you've been playing PokeMMO for a long time, that is much more common than anything that we've ever been used to prior to this spot. Ditto hunting before this spot was a nightmare, and they were so much more rare, and Ditto prices were way crazier. But here's our first Ditto, as we can see, within 2 encounters. Super quick, super easy. I'm going to go ahead and quick substitute, and as you'll see, he's now going to try to transform, but it'll fail because I have my substitute up. I also do end up usually putting leftovers on my Breloom once he's lower HP. I don't like having it on him every fight because it wastes so much time. Having that text chat pop up every single fight, every time you take damage from your substitute, is going to be super, super annoying. You could also use potions if you really want to be kind of efficient, but it also might blow too much pokeyen. I personally just recommend putting a leftovers on your Breloom after that was a very lucky catch. It usually takes around 4 Pokeballs per average to catch a Ditto. That is really important to notice. That's what I've come to the conclusion of. At least 4 Pokeballs per Ditto. I believe it takes around 2 repeat balls on average as well per Ditto, if you want to know that number. But you are going to lose a decent chunk of HP off your Breloom every time you substitute, so I'll go ahead and catch a couple more, and I'll show you guys what a leftovers encounter looks like. Okay, I want to show you guys a quick example, of this Ditto waking up. That's what I wanted to show, because make sure you respore your Ditto every time it wakes up. Having that Ditto asleep is going to make it so much easier to catch, like 30% easier to catch. A Pokemon being asleep increases the catch rate by a ton, and it's important, and it's always worth that Spore PP to make sure you re-sleep it. So, and some Dittos are just going to take a long time. One of the most important things to keep in mind is that this grind can be frustrating. This method can be frustrating, especially if you're using Pokeballs, and it's really important to just kind of try your best not to worry about it. Sometimes it's going to take 8 Pokeballs or so to catch a Ditto. I think this one is on my 6th or so Pokeball. Sometimes you're just going to get unlucky. It's just going to take a long time. Sometimes you'll get it first catch, like that last Pokeball. Sometimes you'll get it after 10 or 12 Pokeballs. It can be very frustrating, and if you think about it too much, you're like, oh no, I'm not making profit anymore on this Ditto. It gets really frustrating. You're like, I've already thrown so many Pokeballs that I'm going to have so much little profit left on this Ditto, right? But you just have to try your best to just do this in the background. This is a grind where you want to turn your brain off and just not think as much as possible. Otherwise, it'll get to you too much, and it'll be too frustrating. I'm definitely not a fan of hunting Dittos personally. I would much rather do something like Payday or a gym run if I want to turn my brain off and do some Pokeyen grinding, but to each their own, and I want people to know about this method as much as possible, and I still do it every now and again. I'll come here, catch 10 Dittos, It's just something to mix things up, and that's one of the most important things about PokeMMO is just mixing up your grinding methods. As you can see here, I actually forgot to spore it as I was talking, but it's important to mix up your grinding methods. Make sure you still are having fun and enjoying the game even while grinding. Alright, finally caught that Ditto. I believe that one actually did take around 12 Pokeballs, which is hilarious. Okay, now that I've caught a couple Dittos, this is usually the HP that I would go ahead and pop a leftovers on my Breloom at after around 3 substitutes or so. So I'm going to pop that on, and I'll try to get a Ditto and show you guys what that kind of catch looks like. Okay, so here we are. Here's a nice Ditto leftovers counter to show you guys. I'm going to go ahead and throw up a substitute. It's going to put me super low now, around 2 HP, because this is my 4th substitute on this trip. But then my leftovers is going to start to slowly heal me up. And usually, as long as I don't get super lucky and catch the Ditto first ball, I'll be able to heal up to at least be able to do one other sub. But especially if honestly, this is the best encounter to get super unlucky on, because you're going to want to slowly heal up your Breloom. You could also just opt to head back to the PC really quick with your dig and teleport Pokemon. It's not that far, so whatever you guys want to do whenever you feel is comfortable is definitely personal preference what you want to do here. You could also just leave the leftovers on your Pokemon the entire time, and it'll make some encounters a bit longer, but it'll also make it so much more AFK and like brain dead and like less thinking to like be like, okay, I've done X amount of substitutes, now it's time to put a leftovers on my Pokemon. Like it's I honestly usually hunt like that, but sometimes if I'm actively thinking and actively paying attention, I will hunt with like putting a leftovers on after a couple encounters or so. So here's a 1x31 Ditto, and that's a good transition into my next point. So when hunting Dittos, you are going to be making profit off of even just Shittos, off of any random Ditto, but at the same time, if you get something like this, like a 1x31 or a 2x31 or a 4x31, that's going to be where your real profit comes in. Or if you even get like 20 or 25 plus across 4 or 5 stats, that's an important thing to do, to like note. Usually on Pokemon like that, I type noted as their nickname, kind of like that. I recommend people do the same to categorize your Pokemon and to sort them later on. I'm not going to go into how to properly sell your Dittos in this video. I will link a video in the description that I've covered on this topic a lot more in depth before, how to sell your Pokemon properly based on IVs, nature, etc., and how to price your Pokemon on the GTL. Make sure you check out that video. And a quick display on how to leave the cave and use your dig and teleport Pokemon properly. Go on ahead and click your dig hotkey, press your teleport. I have to walk out of here, excuse me. Push your dig hotkey, walk out of this zone, and I believe once you're in here you can teleport. Nope, once you're outside. Perfect for the guide. Go ahead and teleport. It makes things a little quicker, although not, entirely instant. It's nice to, especially if you're like out of substitutes and you're just trying to get out of the cave, maybe you walked or biked too far into the cave, it's really nice to be able to have that dig Pokemon. The teleport Pokemon is a bit overkill at times, but I definitely recommend a dig Pokemon. But that's basically it for Ditto hunting and Ditto catching. If you have any more questions, please leave them in the comments. I respond to questions very quickly. I try to get out as much help and information as possible, as quickly as possible. Like this video if you liked it, disliked it if you didn't like it. Leave feedback and criticisms in the comments. I happily accept it all. Subscribe if you want to see more daily PokeMMO updates and content. And thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you for your time. Best of luck hunting Dittos. Hope you get a shiny. Have a great day.